So let the water flow. I will speak to him directly. President John Dramani Mahama.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Is live on Joe 99.7 FM, hits 103.9 FM in Accra. We're also live on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, myjoyonline.com and affiliates in all 16 regions of Ghana, including Kekeli FM Ho, Bishara Radio Tamale, KTU Radio Koforidua, Oil City Radio, Takrady and Castle FM Cape Coast, live on X Spaces, Facebook and YouTube. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams. This afternoon, Vice President assures government plans are underway to secure buses for state transport companies and the private sector to help address the transport crisis in the capital and elsewhere.
Support to Metromas, Ayalolo, and the private sector with new high occupancy buses.
Well, details, as the Transport Minister says, retooling state transport companies over the years is worsening the transport challenges.
Intercity STC, Metro Mass Transit Limited, and by extension, Ayalolo, under the Ministry of Local Government, has not seen any retooling of their vehicles. This has brought pressure.
Also, this afternoon, price of petrol falls below 10 cedis for the first time in several years, with consumers paying less at the pumps.
I bought it for 100 cedi. That is the full. It used to be 120, but now it is 100 cedi.
For drivers, when we get it like this, we are happy.
We have details, plus the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers reignite calls for transport fare reduction.
This again would reactivate the conversation with the transport unions to look at fares across board for Ghanaians to generally benefit from these reductions.
Also this afternoon, Ghana's efforts to extradite former Maslock CEO to serve jail term in Ghana receives major boost after arrest and detention in the USA. Meanwhile, private legal practitioner says Sadina Tamaklu's sentence began running as soon as she was convicted, even though she's yet to actually start serving the sentence.
The 10 years started counting from the day of the conviction. A sentence takes effect immediately once it's been pronounced. When she comes to Ghana, she'll be sent straight to Nsawam to start her sentence.
We've got details of that coming up shortly in sports.
Hearts of Oak aim to close the gap at the top of the Premier League as they prepare for a tough test against Dreams FC.
These and more with me, Maame Esi Nyamekye Thompson. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. Don't go away. Let's get into the details now. Vice President Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman says government has kick-started plans to procure high-occupancy buses to augment the current fleet to address the recent transport challenges. She gave the assurance in a crunch meeting with the driver unions and transport and local government ministers in a move to find a lasting solution to the crisis in Accra and other major capitals. We'll get details shortly, but first, my colleague MF Adeti visited the Medina bus stop area this morning to check on the situation, and this is what she found.
We run Union. We have a station just around the Zongo Junction, but land disputed come on the places stop, so we decide to relocate here because we don't have a place to go. Here is the different station because here we run Union. We have Union where we run. We are on station before, but because of the matter I told you, the land dispute, let us come here. But our everything is from 6:30 to 5 o'clock
in the morning.
In the morning, yeah. So here, there is no such a thing here. Yeah, maybe evening time when we close, we have a Goro boys who come in. Maybe they are the people who used to do that. But that time we control here.
Okay,
satisfy passenger. Control here, this way everybody will satisfy. So you see, you have floating cars plenty. By the 5, we and the Union cars we close. The floating cars and the Goro boys used to do that.
Who are the floating cars?
The floating cars, those cars will no register. They're just on the system, pick and go.
What are you doing about that?
unless government intervene or DVLA or whatever it is. Yeah.
So currently, especially in this month, the challenges of price hike. As of yesterday, did any of the commuters complain to you as a master that the prices were hiked?
No one complained.
Nothing like that has happened.
Yeah.
The whole of the week, you've not heard of a price hike.
No. Nobody complained. We have price we used to collect.
I'm talking about the evenings.
The evening there. Unless authority do something about that one. Because me as an individual cannot do anything about. Sometimes we used to call them and advise them, but they will let you know say they're here. But the next day, they just do what they want. Most attempts to, you see this road too, the roadway to go to Dodua, them two are doing like that. When you go to Dodua, instead of here to make Dodua be 9 cities, they will tell you, say, oh, I will not go to Dodua, say, my last stop be OIB. Then you collect 10 cedis. So when you get OIB 2, then they go start Dodua. Then they collect another fee too. But all this thing, it happens in the night, not daytime.
So it happens in the night, but has it been happening for long?
It just started, but let me say, last 2 years where the thing started gradual.
2 years ago?
Yeah, on the system, yeah.
So you heard that station manager reacting to allegations of rent seeking in an interview with my colleague Emefa Adeti. Let's listen to the Minister for Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe, from that meeting where he expressed concern about the transport challenges, citing the lack of retooling of public transport companies over the years as one of the factors contributing to the worsening situation.
The Ministry of Transport and their agencies like Intercity, STC, Metro Mass Transit Limited, and by extension, Ayalolo, under the Ministry of Local Government, has not seen any retooling of their vehicles. This has brought pressure on the few vehicles that they are operating. The private sector, also over the years, are not able to renew the fleet they also operate under. And with a lot of activities on our roads, congestion and delays in movement, it has become so difficult for us to control and manage our traffic situation. The good news is that government is willing, government is prepared to retool our transport companies like the Intercity, STC, the Metro Mass Transit Limited, and Ayalolo under the Ministry of Local Government.
Now joining me is my colleague Fatal Bayaga on that tour with the Vice President. Fatal, the Vice President has been responding to these retooling issues. Tell us more.
The Vice President, Professor Jane Nanaopoko Ajiman, says that she is not oblivious of the current challenges facing the transport sector, particularly in the capital. She says that she gets worried anytime she sees videos flying on social media of people in long queues waiting to get vehicles to their various destinations. So, in this very crucial meeting today with the Transport Minister, she assured that government is going to procure some new fleets of buses that will support all the public or the state transport companies, including STC, Metro Mass, and even support the private sector as well. We can take a listen to her.
His Excellency the President has asked me to assure all of you that he will give support to Metro Mass, Ayalolo, and the private sector. And the private sector with new high occupancy buses in order to augment the services in the medium term. We also have plans to ensure that those that need to be repaired, that the process will be expedited to ensure they can put more buses on the road as soon and as quickly as possible. So my pleas are, let us continue to work together to develop a transportation system that prioritizes fairness, efficiency, excellence. And I know and you know that we can. We are relying on each other to make that possible.
So, Fatal, the private transport operators were also in that meeting. What did they say?
So they also say that they are burdened by the current challenge, and it's not their fault. It is the case that many of their vehicles are currently in, fixturing shops and all of that, and that is exactly the reason why we are facing these challenges. So they say that government has been allocating funds for state transport company, it is now time for the government to also allocate some financial support or budgetary allocation for the private sector in order that it will help to address this issue.
The issues we were having and contending from 2023 and 2024 seems to be repeating itself. Whenever there's a budgetary allocation and then they go to share, they allocate how much they'll give to Metro Mass, how much they give to STC, and forget us. The buses they had brought to us from Egypt were highly compromised in terms of quality. What we went there as a delegation and inspected and was brought was the engine, 6-cylinder engines were inspected, came down as 4-cylinder engines. The axle width and then the air conditioning motors were all compromised. So it didn't yield the results it was supposed to have yielded. We mentioned this to him. And again, we said that our problem is that from where we had met in 2016, I'm talking now, all the cars are now old. People complain.
Well, Fatal, where's the vice president headed?
So, Maame, the vice president, after the engagement at the transport ministry, she moved to the Metro Mass Company Limited, where she had conversations with the MD and other staff of the company. And during that particular engagement, the MD, the managing director for the company, Kali Caesar, says that currently the company can only boast of 130 operational vehicles out of 478, which is a very big worry for them. But the vice president in response says that the government has taken notice of that and that steps will be taken to, in a way, support the company with more buses.
Right, thank you very much, Fatal Bayaga there. Now, for the first time in several years, prices of petrol has fallen below 10 cedis as consumers pay less at the pumps following the reduction in the second pricing window of January. This marks a second reduction this month alone. And my colleague Kweku Asante joins me in the studio with some details of this. Kweku, what are the numbers looking up at the pumps, especially among major market players?
So, Maame Esi, we are seeing single digits. In fact, if you look at Star Oil, at 8 a.m. today, they changed their pricing to 9 cedis, 97 pesos. So 9.997 when it comes to Star Oil. Goil is actually matching them boot for boot. In fact, they did announce their pricing first this morning, and they are currently selling at 9.99. That is 9 cedis, 99 pesos. So single digits. The OMCs have been, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, have been putting out some numbers. And you look at the last time we're getting something like this was just around 2022 thereabouts. And so in the last 3 years, this is the first time that Ghanaians are going to go to the filling station and see this. And already the Star Oil CEO is talking tough. He's saying that there's going to be a lot. He posts on Facebook and says, if you're a student of competitive strategy, get some popcorn and sit tight. Wow. You're about to witness a case study in terms of this with Goil. And then he says the NPA should also get rid of the price floor so that they can be free to give Ghanaians more value.
Thank you very much, Kweku Asante. Well, my colleague Gemma Apia also visited LPG gas station and spoke to some consumers about the reduction in prices.
I bought it for 100 cedi. That is the full. It used to be 120, but now it is 100 cedi.
So 20 cedis.
Cedis difference.
Right. And how does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel good. At least it has reduced some burden on us at home. Moreover, I've saved some cost. Now 20 cedi can do a lot of things, so at least it's good.
Sometimes when you buy 200 cedis, and that will be about almost 20 liters. 150 cedis. When you buy 150 cedis, about 20 liters, and that's good. For drivers, when we get it like this, we are happy.
Well, with the free fall of petroleum prices, Executive Director of Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, is calling for the reduction of transport fares.
This is one of the things that deregulation in its truest form portends to consumers. And I am happy we all can live to see a day like this where price wars indeed have become a thing that the OMCs have taken seriously and are delivering results for the Ghanaian consumer. I am happy that fuel prices for the first time in a long while have declined to the single digits, 9.99 It's a very good welcoming thing, and I am hopeful that this again would reactivate the conversation with the transport unions to look at fares across board for Ghanaians to generally benefit from these reductions.
Moving on, government says members of the Presidential Advisory Group on the Economy will serve without remuneration for their services, as many of them are already engaged in other activities. On the Super Morning Show today, Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, Kwachi Ofosu, explained that the advisory group is made up of professionals who are not government employees and are therefore offering their services on voluntary basis. According to him, the arrangement reflects government's efforts to contain costs while benefiting from expert economic advice.
As we speak, I'm not certain about any remuneration. It's an advisory group. They are not permanent employees. If you look at them, you see that many of these people are already engaged in other activities. There are people who are lecturing in the universities who are already on the public payroll and therefore are not going to get any additional remuneration, as far as I know. But in terms of the frequency of their meetings, that would depend on what they decide. If you like, frequency in terms of how many times they have to meet and conducted and the modalities government such meetings. I think that the group will be allowed at their first meeting or any other meeting to make this determination. But what's certain is that they will keep a close eye on the economy and ensure that the policies that are being implemented are the right ones and they will benefit the generality of our people.
This afternoon, Ghana's efforts to extradite former Maslock CEO Sedina Tamaklo-Ationu to serve a sentence after she was convicted on corruption charges has received a major boost after she was arrested by U.S. authorities. Ms. Ationu Tamaklo was convicted by an Accra High Court on 78 counts of corruption-related offences, but she had jumped bail even prior to her conviction. Kweku Asante once again joins me in studio with more on this. Kweku, before we get into her arrest and detention in the U.S., give us a chronology of this case.
Well, this is a very checkered history when it comes to this. Madam Sedina Tamaklo-Ationu, the former CEO of Maslock, was prosecuted for alleged corruption and financial misconduct related to a tenure between 2013 and 2016. In particular, misappropriation of 500,000 cedis involving Obatampa Savings and Loans Funds, diversion of 1.7 million cedis meant for some national program, incomplete distribution of 1.4 million cedis meant for victims of fire incidents, and then inflated procurements. The trial began around 2019 at the Accra High Court. Sedina Tamaklo was granted bail conditioned on recognizance with two sureties, Alex Mould, who we know was the former CEO of the GMPC, and Gavivina Tamaklo, who is the brother of Sedina. They executed a 5 million bail bond. When Sedina Tamaklo failed to appear in court over an extended period, that bail bond was forfeited. That meant that Alex Mould and Gavivina Tamaklo had to pay 5 million Ghana cedi to the state because they stood surety. But eventually, on April 16, 2024, the court did find her guilty on all 78 counts and was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment with hard labor, together with a co-accused, a former Maslock Chief Operating Officer, Daniel Axem, who was also sentenced to 5 years imprisonment with hard labor. But all of that in absentia because Madam Tamaklo had absconded to the USA.
Well, Kweku, now tell us about the confirmation of the arrest and detention by our embassy in the US.
Yes, according to a statement by Ghana's ambassador to the US, the former Maslock boss was detained by US Marshals on January 6th and in fact has since been kept at the detention center in the USA. The ambassador said he was reliably informed that this was acting on an extradition request that was sent by the U.S. authority, by Ghanaian authorities, I should say, by the then Godfred Dame-led Attorney General's Department in 2024, and that U.S. Marshals have since taken in Madam Tamaklo, and in the coming days, she will have a day in court to defend why she should not actually be extradited to Ghana.
Thank you very much, Kweku Asante. Now, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says the 10-year sentence started counting on the day the sentence was handed down and that the former Maslock boss will be taken into prison custody immediately she is extradited to Ghana.
The rest of the extradition processes can go on. So the key thing is that in order to do extradition, the accused or suspect or convict has to be arrested first. And so in this case, once he's been arrested, it means that they can now prepare and put him before court. Without the arrest, the extradition proceedings are usually not done. Because if you don't have the person in custody, how are you going to extradite him? Right now, if we are talking on the face of the law, the 10 years started counting from the day of the conviction until the law changes otherwise. A sentence takes effect. If you read our Act 30, a sentence takes effect immediately once it's been pronounced. When she comes to Ghana, she'll be sent straight to Nsawam to start her sentence.
Well, Mr. Pebo also explains the processes that would take if Sadina Tamaklo fights the legal process.
It will take time if only she wants to fight it. So realistically, yes. But the question nobody can tell is when. Yes, the question nobody can tell is when. The reason we say realistically yes is that this one, Sadina Tamaklu, she's been convicted.
Private legal practitioner Martin People there. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We take a break, we return with sports and also fresh calls for international forensic collaboration in investigations into Ahmed Swale's murder as media advocate group United Press for Development Network demands public disclosure of progress of the investigations 7 years on. Welcome back to the Midday News. We have sports.
Maame Esi, later today at 3:30 p.m., Hearts of Oak will face Dreams FC at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. Now, a victory would see them move into second place on the Ghana Premier League table. However, the Phobians face a Dreams FC side that have won 3 of their last 4 matches. Hearts head coach Didi Dramani hopes his players will rise to the occasion.
It is making the right decisions in very key moments of the game. There are very decisive moments of the game, especially the way we set up our team, and so those key moments we want to improve on our decision making, and we have been working so importantly in terms of the cues that will lead us to be able to improve in terms of making right decisions in very decisive moments of the game. And I think that we have been working tirelessly in terms of this model in our style of play to know that in the week we always have these 3 components: working on the physical part, working on the offensive part, and working on the defensive part.
Didi Dramani is the head coach of Hearts of Oak.
Thank you. Now, there's an emerging call for an international collaboration in the investigation into the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale. Today marks exactly 7 years since the gruesome shooting of the Tiger Eye PI journalist, but the police and other investigative bodies have yet to identify the perpetrators of that killing for any serious prosecution. Media Advocate Group has this morning released a statement on the matter, and my colleague James Aveji joins me in studio with more. James, what's the concern of the group really?
So this group is the United Press for Development Network, UPDN, and they say that they are worried that 7 years on, the gunmen who perpetrated this crime have yet to be identified. They said this is weighing down the public trust in the investigative system, giving confidence for impunity against journalists in the line of their work.
And what are the solutions they're providing?
They want the Ghana Police Service and the other investigative bodies to collaborate with international investigation agencies to look into the issue. There should be forensic examinations. All leads that have been picked up as far as this case is concerned should be revisited, and the police must make sure that someone is apprehended and justice is served.
Thank you, James. Now, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has sounded the alarm over Kumasi's waste management system, warning that it is on the brink of collapse unless swift measures are taken to address the growing sanitation crisis. There's more in the following report.
The Kumasi Mayor, Richard Ofori Ajiman Bwedi, noted that the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly bears the load of other local assemblies in Greater Kumasi with any financial contribution in managing the waste. Kumasi is the only city in Ghana with an engineered landfill, a technical advantage that has become a financial strain. The city mayor says unless the KMA builds 2 additional waste facilities within the next 14 to 16 months, the existing landfill will be exhausted and the city will have nowhere to dispose of its rubbish.
We manage about 2,000 tons of waste on daily basis, and out of the 2,000, each ton costs us 83 cedis. So with the financial responsibility to manage the waste that is made, it's enormous. Unfortunately, we carry the burden of about 7 assemblies. All of them bring their waste product to the final disposal site for us to manage. Unfortunately, they don't contribute to the finances of the management of the final disposal site. Out of the whole country, Kumasi is the only place where we have an engineered landfill site. When it comes to the technical management of waste management, you can't joke with any of the elements. So it gives us a lot of financial headache in doing. As we speak, within the next 14 to 16 months, if we are unable to construct 2 new cells, the place will be full and we will not have anywhere to keep our waste.
He noted that a fund of €6 million is required for the construction of those sites and that the Assembly is actively seeking funds to have a new site ready.
So there's a lot of work that we have to do to be able to get central government to appreciate the enormity of the task ahead when it comes to the waste management of the greater Kumasi enclave. But we're working and we are knocking doors, we are pushing. We believe that by the time that we exhaust the space, something would come from central government for us to be able to at least construct 1 new cell or 2.
Francis Mensah's reports for Joy News.
The National Labour Commission has declared illegal a planned strike by the Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronics Association, ordering the group to immediately call off the action over what it describes as clear breaches of Ghana's labour laws. The directive follows the planned industrial action by the association in protest against alleged salary distortions and a demand for the removal of the Director of Human Resources of the GCAA. Now, the group had earlier announced plans to embark on an indefinite strike starting Thursday, January 15, citing salary discrepancies and the removal of their director. Now, joining me is my colleague, and she's going to take us through the NLC's decision and what they're saying about this strike. So, Gemma, in this ruling, what is the NLC saying?
So the commission held that the group lacks the legal capacity to declare or embark on a strike, stressing that the group is an association and not a registered labor union recognized under Ghana's labor framework. As such, it cannot negotiate collective agreements or lawfully institute industrial action. The NLC further ruled that the intended strike contravenes their regulations. Maame.
Right, Gemma. Also joining us this afternoon is my colleague Stephen, who is following a strike action ongoing now. Residents living in Ablekuma say that years of neglect have left their roads nearly impassable, affecting daily movement, business activity, and access to emergency services. He's joining us on the line now, but before then, some of the residents have been speaking to Joe News.
That will spoil. Our roads are bad for a long time. For a long time, about 30 years now, I'm at a farmer. The road is not good, so they should fix the road for us.
But have you complained to?
We complained several times to the assembly. I'm among when we went to the assembly. Up to now, they didn't do anything, so we are taking action this time. If we report this one, they didn't take action, next step, we are going to burn a tire on the road.
But that would be illegal.
It's illegal, but it should be like that. It should be like that. Because the government, if you don't bring yourself out, they won't see you.
Stephen Appiah interacting with some of the residents. We'll get more in subsequent bulletins. But right about now, Adobia Sari is with me in the studio. Adobia, what's trending? And today...
Oil.
Yes, today is Multimedia's Thanksgiving, right?
Yes, I was there a few minutes ago.
How was the program? It was really exciting,
yes,
though I couldn't be there this morning.
It was glorious. You know, we're thanking God for 31 solid years and all that He's done for us, despite the ups and downs. He's been with us. The Reverend Sam Kanchianka was there, and the word was just powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's trending now?
Star oil and gold are trending today. You know, the fuel prices are dropping, and then so gold has dropped the fuel by some points. We have before Super XP was 10.99, it's now selling at 9.99 per liter. You also have Star Oil going further to 9.97. It looks like they may go down more. They're saying the car guys are going to be winning more points this time. Yeah,
great. I mean, it's good for consumers, right?
Yes.
So we thank them. And anyway, that's how we end this afternoon's bulletin here on Joy 99.7